The other day, I bought a 64 pack of crayons to complete my hoarding collection of crayons in which I almost never use. But lately, I've had a very strong urge to use the crayons, and especially since I bought the 64 pack, it really sparked up the joy of having to use crayons again. I am not using my regular sketchbook because the paper is way too smooth and it just wouldn't make any sense to use with crayons. It would look like way more trash than it already would normally put down on paper, right? So, as a result, I am using mixed media paper, which means that it's a nice combination of smooth and rough paper, so the crayon has something to grip to and doesn't end up smearing weirdly onto the paper, you know what I'm saying? Now, to match the theme of Crayola going on here, I'm also using my Crayola erasable colored pencils to put down a sketch. They're an awesome alternative to the Prismacolor Color Erase because not only are they cheaper than the Prismacolor Color Erase, but they're also way more accessible to anybody. I literally found them at Walmart in the school section aisle, so it's much more readily available. And also, they erase pretty well and work just as great as a Prismacolor Erase. I highly suggest it. I even did a video on the verses between both of them, so yeah. Now I'm also just gonna slap this in here because maybe I'll get a question, I don't know. I am wearing gloves while I was doing this video. Not because I don't like the texture of crayons. It's actually the opposite. I love the texture of crayons. I like to feel the wax build up and the wax on my fingers. I think it's actually a really cool and unique feeling that you don't get with a lot of art pieces. Art pieces? No. With art materials. There we go. Instead, I actually had an allergic reaction before the video, so, yeah, not poppy seeds, sesame seeds, fucked me up. So, when I touched the sesame seed bun, my hands were like, haha, I got you, and I was like, I don't have time for this, I gotta film. So I was like, alright, I'll just put the gloves on top, whatever, and then it'll go away eventually. Going back to the sketch, the benefit of me using crayons means that I get to use bigger paper again. And I like that because I like drawing big. I like the idea of not being caged in by smaller paper, which is why my usual normal sketchbook, the B paper one, even though it's small, I feel like I'm constantly having to readjust how I do everything to it. I don't know why I made that decision, but like my brother, I made the sandwich, so now I have to accept the sandwich. But that's okay. The B paper sketchbook and I are getting. Ooh, that's a new one. I like that one, Gittling. We're getting along pretty well, me and the sketchbook, so I don't mind it. This sketchbook, on the other hand, is, I say my secret sketchbook, quote-unquote, but it ain't a secret. I've used it several times on the channel. It's just that, like, it's mostly used for messy mediums or if I want to mix mediums, because that's just what makes sense to me, is using a different sketchbook for different mediums because the paper is more suited towards them. So the B paper one is for markers, so I use it specifically for markers. And this mixed media sketchbook is for everything, for some acrylic painting, crayons, Posca markers, watercolor. It can be versatile to whatever I need it to be, so that's the benefit of having a sketchbook that is mixed media paper. The worst part for me about using crayons is that I'm extremely heavy-handed, so I ended up breaking a good amount of crayons in the process of this drawing. And let me tell you that every time I broke a crayon, I felt like a monster. Like every time I'm like, oh my god, why am I like this? So that was heart-wrenching every single time, not only because I spent money on them, but just this whole factor. Even when I was young, whenever I'd break a crayon, something in my heart would just drop and I'd be like, oh my god, like this poor crayon didn't even get to live its life and I killed it. So yeah, that felt brutal. Now, I just want to state that I am not good with crayons in an artistic manner. And the way that I can explain that is, like, if you look up using crayons on YouTube, you'll get like these super aesthetic looking drawings, and like they're really well done and they're layered up nicely and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, you guys are good at that. But I don't like doing that. You see, I like the way crayons look. I like how messy and almost blotchy they can appear on paper, and I like the wax buildup. I like all the stuff that people don't usually like about crayons. If I had to choose probably another medium besides markers as my main medium, I would have gone with crayons, but maybe I would have done like the fancy ones. But like, yeah, like I've said like 100 times so far. I'm so sorry. It's been a while. I'm so sorry. Nonetheless, just because I use them differently doesn't mean that I'm not gonna like how it comes up, because I actually really did like this drawing. But what I was afraid of was that other people weren't gonna like the drawing. So I actually had an internal battle for a good week now, thinking maybe I shouldn't post this because, you know, it doesn't seem up to par with other YouTube people. And I was like, you know what, like, I like it, and I really enjoy the fact that I was using crayons and that I could do this and feel free doing so. So I was like, I'm gonna post it anyway regardless, and if people don't like it, then they don't. Who cares? So that's kind of like how I have to take in a lot of stuff, because you know, being an artist is always comparing yourself to other artists, which suck, right? That fucking sucks. Is like, you're constantly looking at your art thinking what's better, what's not. But sometimes you just gotta let that kind of stuff go and just draw, which is why I'm pretty happy that I'm even posting this, is like, I'm admitting to myself that even if it's not up to other standards, it's up to mine, and that I enjoy it. And when I post it, I hope that other people will maybe even get inspired to use crayons again. When it came to blending with crayons, it's actually not that hard to blend with them. I press hard with all the crayons regardless, so that doesn't matter to me. I'm just laying down the color wherever I need to, and then I go over it and blend in some spots, like how I put down red and then I went over with the base tone for the face for his blush. I think that it made sense to have it layered up like that, and, you know, like some shading in some areas. I think you just have to learn how to work around with your medium, and I enjoyed working with the crayons the entire time. I'd like to think it's just sometimes you need the mindless work, you know, like something that you don't have to worry too hard for, but at the same time you still want to keep it looking good. It's just something that's nice and easy and simple to do and use. Also, a few side notes. So number one, sorry I haven't posted a regular video in like about 2 weeks now. That's because life has been a lot recently, so trying to keep up with YouTube and the whole video thing is difficult, but I'm going to keep on trying to continue the once a week thing. I did post YouTube shorts at least to like know that I'm alive on the platform and everything, so there is that. Oh, and I reached 400 subscribers, and that was pretty cool, because that means that you guys actually like the content and that you're watching, and I thought that was awesome, because I was like, yo, when I started, I was like, yo, I'm never gonna get like more than maybe max 50 people to watch my content or even look at what I'm doing. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the 400. That's like a crazy huge number to me, and I really appreciate it more than anything, honestly. Here's the finished product of the drawing. The only thing I did different was I took a scraper and I did some highlights into the eyes to kind of give the character some life. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and remember, I love you, and thank you again for the whole 400 subscribers.